say?
Did the Drake vocals come in yet?
And we're live officially, episode 3. Great to bring it in. Interesting weekend to say the least. Great week of life, great week of football. I guess kind of the way that I think I want to start it off is I think you owe the listeners an official statement about the elimination pool and what you think the correct format is moving forward, because you're officially eliminated and we can't not do it after week 2.
So the official statement from my team is you won't see somebody work harder, somebody more locked in, and somebody more dedicated to picking winners than I'll be the rest of this season.
Okay.
On that note, I suck at this. 1-3 already. Picked 2 stinkers last week.
Yeah.
So I guess just moving forward, just pick 2 teams, keep a running record of it. I think I mentioned this a little bit last week, but I think it's official now that because I'm out, gotta have me just pick 2 teams. You pick 2 teams, and we'll just keep track. So after 2 weeks, I'm 1-3. You're undefeated.
Yeah, I'm undefeated. Give the listeners, though, the 2 teams that you picked this week real quick.
I picked the Packers and the Browns.
Okay.
2 tough losses.
I think we're going to dive into them a little bit more, but obviously, but I mean, I picked the Giants and the Saints. I guess the Giants game was a little bit of a sweat, but I knew for a fact that they were going to go in there at halftime and be like, hey guys, let's tone it down a little bit and let's lose this football game. So I wasn't really that concerned. There was really never a doubt in my head. And that Saints game was, it was a stinker. Unfortunately, probably not that many people watched it. I had a fantasy matchup come down to Olave not having more than 20 points. I got my ass saved that he stepped out with a half inch on his foot. Won my fantasy matchup, always a good feeling. So I was actually pretty heavily invested in that game. And I also had the Saints -3, and they actually pushed because they got a 2-point conversion on a bullshit last drive. And so that game hurt across the board a little bit, but like I said, at least I got my fantasy matchup in, and I hit the under.
Yeah, those 2 games actually on Monday night had like a lot on them for me too, for some reason. Like I needed the Browns to win and they didn't come through. But I also had a fantasy matchup come down to me with Chris Olave playing against receiver from the Steelers, Calvin Austin. I was down by, I think it was 2 points, and I needed Olave to have a big night, and he came through. Finished 2-1 fantasy on the weekend. My one loss was just absolutely brutal. I didn't even put up 100 points. It was sad, but can't win them all. I'll take 2-1 on the weekend. I do want to say my betting on the NFL is better than my 2 elimination picks, but in college football, I am just getting absolutely dominated. I cannot pick a college football game to save my life. So I might just have to stop and just like stick to the NFL. Oh, you're gone. I'll go off for a little bit. So Saturday night, we got to actually watch a pretty good game between Colorado State. A lot closer than what everybody thought it was going to be. I mean, I'm pretty sure that was like a 23.5 point spread. Me personally, I took Colorado over 43.5 points. Made it all the way to double overtime. Obviously, they finished at 43. Pretty much throughout that whole game, I was like, there's no way they're even going to get this. Ended up getting to double overtime, 43. Heartbreaker for me, personally. But I think Colorado's for real. I think it's very tough that they lost one of their best players for a couple weeks.
Bro,
I was just put it down. I don't know if you.
Bro, I think we just have to restart the episode. I just lost internet.
Okay, I just went off. I was just riffing on the Colorado State game on Saturday. So
all right, fuck it. We'll just keep it in. Let's just act like it didn't happen. Anyway, the last thing I heard you say was I do want to talk about that game actually. So but I heard you say something about you had Chris Olave. So if you want to go back to that, or it's up to you.
Okay, yeah. I'll run it back to my fantasy match. I had Chris Olave, Kyle Zappi, shout out Zappi, had Calvin Austin. I was down by 2. I needed Olave to come through, have a big night, and Calvin Austin to pretty much do nothing. Yeah, he dropped Allen Robinson for Calvin Austin. Now, it wouldn't have made a difference either way because Olave put up like 16, 15.
Yeah, I think he finished with 14.
So I ended up winning that matchup. But it was a barn burner. I mean, I'd Saquon too. Tough to see him go down.
No doubt.
We absolutely hate that. We don't want anyone injured. But he had a hell of a game, man. He's special. But yeah, that goes without saying.
I saw that he played like 97% of the snaps. I think Matt Breida came in for literally one play, and then they've ran one play without a running back. So he played like literally almost every single down. So definitely hurts to see him, but I mean, at least it wasn't like super serious. I know that Andrew saw him going into the locker room after the game. He said, what's up to him? And he seemed fine. He was going to get x-rays, and he kind of knew like right then that it was just like a sprain.
Dude, it looked and seemed way worse watching that game, but then I get the update from Twitter that he's like not ruled out for Thursday, which is absurd.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little that's cap. I mean, it's a
tactics, maybe a little day ball tactics.
I just think that there's a lot of pressure on them this upcoming week, and I think just any sort of hope that they can give that fan base at this point, they're just kind of doing it. But dude, I don't see him playing.
They play the Niners Thursday.
Yeah,
just let him have the week off. They're not going to win that game. There's no sense in putting him out there at like 70% and
if that,
and potentially having it get worse. I mean, you don't want to just chalk up a game by any means, but that's really not a game that there's really a minimal chance that they're going to end up winning that game.
We'll preview the Thursday night game in a little bit. I wanted to get to your two picks for this week, if you have them ready.
I do. So this week I'm going Pats and Jags. So Patriots versus Jets.
Okay.
Jags versus Texans?
Yes.
Yeah, Jags Texans.
Okay. I had Jacksonville, so I'll cross that off. I'll let you have that one. I'm gonna go Los Angeles Rams over the Bengals on Monday Night Football, and I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs this week. I'm striving to keep going perfect. I'm gonna go 6-0 after this week. I kind of think that this kind of leads into a little bit of a good segue, since we're going to be talking about that game. A lot of these 0-2 teams, I wanted to hear any of the 0-2 teams that have started off that you're worried about right now.
Actually, I had that as one of the things I was going to ask you. So like, who are you most surprised with that's 0-2?
I think that, I came on the podcast and I predicted that the Chargers would have the best record in the league and finish the top of the division. I just think there's like a stink on this team, and I think a lot comes down to it is like, well, one, the football nerds on Twitter never want to have Justin Herbert be held accountable for literally anything, and I get it, he's good, but there's also like a lot that happened even on Sunday that he could have went and won the football game and he didn't. And on top of it, you have a defensive minded, quote unquote defensive guru of a head coach and Brandon Staley with a ton of weapons, and they don't seem to stop anybody. So I have some like points that I wrote down like during the game. It was they were on 4th and 1 in plus territory where they're usually pretty aggressive to win the game. They go and kick a field goal, they make it, and then the Titans go down and score. And then in OT, I don't know what the fuck happened. I look up and they win the toss. I think I go and grab a water. I walk back in my room and they don't have the ball anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah, they went 3 and out on that first overtime possession. I guess only overtime possession. But touching on that plus territory 4th and 1 that they don't go for. Normally, that's a clear and obvious spot that a normal aggressive Chargers team would go for it. And to see them punt was kind of concerning. They are normally very aggressive, go for it a lot on 4th and 1, even 4th and a little bit longer than that. But that was really surprising to see. But I think last week we talked about this game being like a stay away from game, as pretty much anything could happen. And here we are, Titans winning in overtime.
Yeah, something that I saw was the under Staley and Herbert, they're 1-13 in one score games. So if you can't get it done in one score games, I just think something needs to change. Honestly, at the end of last season, when Staley played Mike Williams in a game that didn't matter and he hurt his back and he couldn't play in the playoff game, and then they carry over to that playoff game and they give up a 27-3 lead and lose in the playoffs. Right then and there was the perfect time to get rid of Brandon Staley and bring in Sean Payton, and they didn't do that. And now they're kind of, I personally think I think this is like a hit the panic button team, in my personal opinion. I think that they're screwed until they get another head coach in there. And on top of that, I think that it's somewhat time to start. I love Justin Herbert. He's a dog, but at some point he needs to start taking accountability for some of these losses as well, because he's also being put in this position to go down and win the game, and he just doesn't do it.
Yeah, and that playoff game was a game where their defense really showed up. I'm pretty sure Asante Samuel Jr. had 3 interceptions in a half.
They had 4 picks in the first half.
And, I mean, you can't ask for anything else out of your defense in that first half. And for them to just come out and blow that lead was an abomination, if you ask me. I think I agree with you. That was the perfect opportunity for them to get Staley out of there, but they didn't take that opportunity.
Didn't do it, yeah.
They got rid of the offensive coordinator and brought in Kellen Moore, who I also don't like. He had some really questionable play calling with the Cowboys from what I've seen, and I just didn't really care for that move. I think that was a opportunity for them to sort of have a clean slate with a new guy at head coach, and they took the easy way out and fired the OC.
Yeah. I think that's a good take. Another 0-2 team that I want to talk about is the Bengals. And honestly, we were all over this since the beginning of the season. We thought that they would start off slow, but I think Joe Burrow's injury is way worse than what people are leading off. Like, even this week, Joe Burrow averaged 3.1 air yards per attempt, and so like they're just like not throwing the ball down the field. His longest completion was 20 yards. Can't get Jamar Chase involved in any way, shape, or form. And on the other side of things, the defense had no answer for Lamar this week.
None at all. Lamar was doing whatever he wanted. Was making plays with his legs. I thought he looked really good, and I think the score was deceiving.
Yeah, for sure.
The Ravens were pretty much in control majority of that game.
And
for positives for the Bengals, they got T. Higgins going, which is definitely a good sign.
For sure.
But they got to get Jamar Chase going.
I think that on the offensive side of the ball, them not looking sharp and Joe Burrow not looking sharp is something to definitely take into account. And then on top of it, their defense against the Ravens last week, 7.2 yards per pass, and then they gave up, it was 4.8 yards per rush. I mean, the Ravens were abusing them on the offensive side of the football. And I think a lot of people probably thought that it would take the Ravens a little bit of time to kind of adjust to the new system that's getting put in by Monken and Lamar, to kind of have some grease period to like really feel free in that offense. But I mean, you saw on Sunday, it's looking pretty good for them.
Yeah, I mean, 24 for 33, 237, two touchdowns, 12 rushes, 54 yards. I thought he looked really good. And I mean, if you can make Nelson Aguilar look good, then
for sure
that offense might be legit.
Yeah.
And I think they're very good. Zay Flowers at it again. That might be my favorite bet that I might just take every weekend. His over in receptions.
Yeah, until they catch up on it. The books catch up on it.
Yeah, it'll eventually work its way up to like 5.5. He had 4, but I mean, he's just going to keep getting more and more targets, more and more catches. So
yeah,
I like that receiving room. It's better than Lamar's ever had.
Yeah.
I think Nelson Aguilar actually looked pretty good. Him, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. I mean, Odell went down.
Rashad Bateman.
He'll be good. Yeah, Bateman. I mean,
yeah,
I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah, I think that's probably something that I want to get your opinion on. Hear what you guys say. If Odell doesn't want to play football, then why does he sign for all that money? Like, he goes down with an ankle injury, and then afterwards they're like, "Oh, he's fine. He'll be good for next week." If you don't want to play, then why'd you sign? And and honestly, Odell's looked extremely underwhelming so far this season. Like, out of everything that I thought would have happened so far this year, I thought it would have been like an absolute point for the Ravens to like get Odell going in the first like 2 weeks at least, or week 1. I was like, okay, like he's probably going to score a touchdown.
Yeah, he's just looked underwhelming, and getting another injury just doesn't help. Now, obviously, they said he's going to be fine, but if he's okay, then why didn't he just like come back into the game?
Yeah.
I agree with you. So I don't know. I think it'll be all right. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll start to get going a little bit more. I mean, the guy missed a full year.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think what I'm trying to get at more is, if you're fantasy, if you're betting, the guys on this offense are Mark Andrews first, Zay Flowers, and then you can probably figure out that if Rashad Bateman is foot's healthy, that he's probably going to be that next guy to step up. I'd probably completely avoid Odell, and honestly, at any cost at this point. I don't think he's a viable fantasy option. I don't think he's like even worth placing a bet on at this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably end up just staying away from him. And I mean, you're spot on with Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews. I still think I'm really concerned about this Bengals team, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
You brought up the Chargers as a team that you were concerned with at 0-2, but I think I'm more concerned about this Bengals team than the Chargers. Like, the Chargers at least have a healthy team as of now. Joe Burrow has not looked good. That calf re-aggravating that. I mean, they've started slow before, but Burrow's been healthy. So I don't know. You picked the Rams against them this week. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah.
They're just not where they need to be. I think they will figure it out, but I think it might be too late by the time they end up figuring it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. And we, like I said, we said this, they were going to start slow. I think that like sneaky, like their defense lost like a ton of pieces. Like, you lose Von Bell. Von Bell's a solid starting safety. You lose a 26-year-old Jesse Bates in free agency, who is a damn good football player. And then you lose, I know it's Eli Apple and people like to clown, but I mean, Eli Apple is a very viable starting corner in this league, and he's played for a very long time. So I think, and I'm like I said, I'm not positive. I don't know if you want to Google this or not. I'm pretty sure Joseph Osai is hurt right now, and he is a game changer from a defensive perspective, from a linebacker position. I just like the way he plays. He's like just like an all over the field kind of guy. I don't know if he's playing or not right now, but regardless, you lose like a ton of pieces on defense, and then when your offense isn't clicking, and that's supposed to kind of be your bread and butter, it kind of has, you have to have the defense step up, and I just don't know if they have that sort of D to carry them the way that they have like in the playoffs and in the past.
Yeah, I agree with you. I did just look it up. Joseph Osai is the bull that tore his ACL or whatever at the very end of last year against the Chiefs in the AFC
Oh,
Championship
really?
game, I think. Yeah.
So he's not playing right now.
No, he did not play last week.
So I just think it's a combination of things, and when you don't have your best players out there on the field, I just think it shows. And I don't think the reason I picked the Rams this week on Monday night is I just flat think Burrow does not play this week. I just don't see a world where they're going to risk it, and if they do, I don't think it's smart, like long term wise, like for their season. Like if you're gonna miss out, like bro, like you should, like Jamar Chase said it over the summer, like let him sit out the first 5 weeks of the season and get that calf right. He didn't do it. He came back right away. It seemed to be, he played in 2 like fair weather games and he re-aggravated it, like plain and simple. So I don't know. It sucks to see. I mean, I love Joe Burrow. I love watching those T Higgins and Jamar ball every week, but I think that's probably going to not look as crisp, at least early in the season. Probably at the halfway point, those guys will start getting heated up.
Yeah, I mean, if he would have sat out these first 5 games, these first 5 games, they got Browns, Ravens, Rams, Titans, Cardinals. Say they end up going like 2-3 in those games, they might end up, just with Burrow playing, they might end up going without him playing. Sorry, they might end up going like 1-4 with him playing.
Yeah,
I mean, and 1-4 is obviously a tough start. And I mean, after that, they Seahawks, Niners, Bills, Texans, Ravens, Steelers, Jags.
They don't have an easy schedule.
They got the Chiefs and they don't have a lot of easy wins on the schedule. So I don't know. I'm down on the Bengals.
Down on the Bengals, and I think those 2 0-2 teams have serious potential to honestly miss the playoffs. And I don't think that that's like an overreaction at all. From just the Chargers standpoint, just don't love their coaching staff. Like you said, you don't even love the Kellen Moore hire. And from the Bengals perspective, just not being able to keep around their talent, and then their talent that they do have on their roster isn't fully healthy right now. So it's just one of those teams that they're just in a bad spot to start the year. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree. All right. What about the most surprising 2-0 team? I think there's 7 2-0 teams left.
I don't know if I'm really surprised about any of them. I'd probably say the biggest surprise, it's just the Bucks. Probably. None of these 2-0 teams really like get me going, other than the Falcons. Like I picked the Falcons to win the division at 11-6, and I mean they're looking good, and so honestly that division it's the best division in football. They have, I just think probably Tampa Bay. But with that being said, it just doesn't excite me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean at 2-0 we've got the Dolphins, Ravens, in the AFC, and then on the NFC we got the NFC Beast. It's got 3 2-0 teams: Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, and then the South has 3 as well: Falcons, Saints, Bucks. Yeah, I mean I think the Bucks are like the clear obvious one, but I don't think we can ignore the Commanders starting off 2-0.
Yeah, I mean they haven't played 2 teams.
Agreed. I fully agree. But the way they kind of rallied back in the first game, and then they had a pretty good offensive game in that second game, which they came back from
A big deficit.
down big in that game too. I mean, I think Commanders teams in the past would have found ways to lose both of those games.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I think that's worth noting at least. We'll see if they can keep that up, but I definitely think Commanders Bucks are probably
The
two
two biggest surprises of the year.
Yeah. I think so too.
With that being said, I think that I think the Commanders have all the pieces kind of to be a really good team. So at the same time, I don't know if it's like that big of a shock. Like you have like an all-time talented defensive line with a ton of big names on it. And then from a skill position perspective, like you have Scary Terry. I love Jahad Dotson. Brian Robinson's actually a pretty decent back. And then Antonio Gibson has been doing this thing for the past couple years. They just have good guys on that football team. And like, if Sam Howell can be competent, which I mean, he looks pretty good, and Bieniemy, I can never say his last name. He clearly, like, I love how animated that guy is on the sideline. He's fired the fuck up all the time. And he loves those guys and like loves coaching them. And you can tell, and he's got that offense clicking after last week. And we'll see if he can continue like carry that over into more weeks, because if their offense is clicking and then their defense, like their defensive talent stays healthy, I mean, they're in a tough division, but they can still win a lot of football games.
Yeah, I was going to say you didn't mention that defense, but that defense is solid.
Yeah.
I think the question mark was pretty much just at the quarterback position. Like, is this guy going to be competent or not? And he's looked good through 2 games. So, I mean, hats off to them. See who they got next week. Oh, they got the Bills. I mean, that'll be an actual test to see if they're any good or not.
Yeah. Well, let's we don't have to spend too much time on it because I don't think there's a ton to talk about. But let's just preview the Thursday night game real quick. Do you have the spread on the over under on that or anything? Or
for Niners Giants right
yeah,
now,
I think it's 9.5,
10 according
10.
to DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games where either the Giants win or they get smacked. If we're
win close.
If we're going to if we're just going to go out, I think the 49ers and the Cowboys have been the teams that have taken a real step already this season, and they come out every week and look really sharp and look ready to go, and they just come out and beat the teams that they're supposed to beat and take care of business. And honestly, at this point, like, I don't have any reason to believe that they're not going to do this against a Giants team without Saquon, and has looked honestly really bad so far to start the year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that second half by Daniel Jones was impressive, but it was against the Cardinals. Now they're frisky, but they're also just not good. That defense is not close to the 49ers defense. 10 seems about right, but I would definitely see the Niners winning by 2 touchdowns here.
Yeah.
The Giants just don't have enough, especially without Saquon playing.
Yeah. And the only thing that the Giants have on their side, honestly, is Thursday night football is always brutal, and maybe it's an ugly game. So that's pretty much all I have on the Thursday night game. Honestly, a big takeaway that I had from week 2 is that overs went 12-4.
Yeah.
A lot of points got scored. The offense started opening up, and the books also had the totals very, very low. So last week, the weekend before, we had an all-time lows on touchdowns scored in like 22 years or something like that. And then the books probably overreacted a little bit, and then the overs went 12-4. For me and our card last week that we set on the pod, I went 8-4. I'm 22-8 to start the season. Having a good year so far. Definitely going to crash and burn. Don't feel good about that at all. To start hot, I'm fucking nervous as hell now. I hit on Atlanta money line, Bucks +3, Seahawks +6, and their money line. I hit on. We said the Eagles -7.5. I actually took the Eagles down to -3 and the over, and then gave a 50% boost. Hit the under on Panthers Saints. Cowboys -3, And then I sent you this one. It was Micah to have a sack and the Cowboys to win. They gave that at plus money.
Yeah, that's stealing.
That was stealing. I looked at the
Yeah.
game special and I was like, what the hell? I was like, I'm taking that all day. And the ones that I missed on were the Niners. All-time weird situation with Sean McVay needs to be investigated because he clearly, all these coaches know the spreads and the totals, and the fact that he went and kicked a field goal when they literally had zero chance to win the football game was very, very fucking weird.
So it sucks, obviously, if you had the spread betting on the Niners. But I will say, I think it is funny when a coach, or like it's cool when a coach comes out and acknowledge. I don't think he specifically came out and acknowledged it. Like, yes, I know what the spread was, but I like when a coach knows what it is and kind of not necessarily game plans, but like has that in the back of their head. Like Penn State against West Virginia, James Franklin.
I can't even listen to this.
James Franklin definitely knew what it was, and
I'm still so ended up covering about that.
And then McVay knew that it was 7.5, and I mean, there's no other reason for him to kick a field goal there unless you are just trying to be a dick. And
that pisses me off.
But yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think it's funny. Obviously, it sucks if you bet the opposite side, but.
And then I missed on the Raiders. Great call by you. Bills bounce back game. They look sharp. I mean, the Raiders looked good in the first half, and classic Mike.
First drive, they started off super hot.
They started off classic Mike fucking McDaniel fashion. Absolutely crumble in the second half. That guy is on the hot seat watch as well. Chargers, we went over
Josh McDaniels. Mike McDaniels. I get them mixed up all the time.
Yeah, my bad. I saw Josh McDaniels when I was out in Vegas and at their football facility. That dude is I'm short. I mean, there's no hiding that. I'm a short king. And Josh McDaniel is also a fellow short king. I stood next to him and I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't know. I don't know the official height on that guy, but I mean, he's short. I don't know why I said that, but whatever. We touched on the Chargers. They suck. And then, bro, one game that really let me down. And if the end zone was 11 yards instead of 10, the Jaguars, bro. I mean, I missed on them. I just, that game had classic potential and it did nothing but disappoint.
Yeah, that game hurt. That was one that we both took really early at +3 for the Jags. Even before, I'm pretty sure we both took it, and then the next day they were like, "Yeah, Chris Jones and Kelsey are both playing,"
and it went to 3.5. Yeah,
and I was like, "Oh, great." The Chiefs' defense looked solid. I mean, giving up what was it, 17-9, I think.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Now the Chiefs' offense is still not in sync yet, but I think they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I just think that I know that hello?
You cut out for a second.
Dude, my fucking Wi-Fi is dog shit. I know that Doug Peterson's trying to get his young play callers involved, but it's time for him to take the play sheet back and start calling plays and dialing in this offense because there's no time to play games. You can't drop games like that. That game was in their hands. They could have easily taken that. And like I said, the end zone's 11 yards instead of 10. Trevor T-Law's got fucking four touchdowns and looks damn good in that offense. But I think that they set the record for in the modern era for most throwing attempts in the red zone without a touchdown. So you just can't have stuff like that happen. And you're clearly not going to win football games like that. And I mean, we saw it happen on Sunday.
Yeah. That was a tough one. That one hurt a lot. But it's the way she goes when you bet sometimes. I think Jags will be fine. Chiefs will look better. That's really all there is to it.
That's fair. All right. Well, do you have anything else that you want to talk about, or do you want to start diving into week 3?
So,
or recap week 2, I guess.
I did want to give a shout out here to Puka Nakua,
Yeah.
Rams wide receiver. Through 2 weeks, obviously not long. He's second in receiving yards behind Justin Jefferson. He's got 266. First in receptions with 25. Now, Cooper Kupp is very good, but is Cooper Kupp a system receiver? People
Yeah.
are asking.
Yeah.
I'm
Listen,
people. What do you think?
I absolutely blew my free agency money load all over Puka Nakua, and I scooped him up for $35. And I didn't start him last week because I was scared, and I was like watching. I wasn't even watching the game. I was like watching, like at halftime. I like looked at like his stats and was like, "What's going on?" And then I turned the game on, and Matt Stafford looks to him damn near every play, and
Every play.
he was
He's
dicing, bro, and he's good. And I think that question of is he a system wide receiver is a good one. I mean, clearly, like he's not a physical specimen or super fast or anything like that. But what Cooper Kupp is extremely smart and understands defenses and understands how to get open. And when you have a really smart head football coach like Sean McVay, really smart quarterback, and a really smart wide receiver, I think that all like just plays into it. And I do think that that's kind of the case of like what's happening with Cooper Kupp. And I think that Puka comes in and kind of has like that same sort of skill set where you're like, okay, like you're really good at running routes. You might not be the fastest guy ever, but you're very smart and you know how to dice a defense. So let's just take advantage of that. And they're just working towards his strong suits, kind of the way that they do with Cooper Kupp. And I mean, you're seeing it work out. And Matt Stafford is vintage Matt Stafford. Like that guy is locked to start the year. He's absolutely healthy, and he's a big reason of why the Rams look so good so far to start the season.
Yeah, 0-2, but Stafford looks really good. I do think part of the Puka Nakua success is because of how good of a coach Sean McVay is at like scheming guys open. I think that's why Cooper Kupp is also so successful. They were in that game, but after 3 quarters, the Niners just have too much talent. So, yeah, that's pretty much all that I wanted to touch on. I think
They're
Puka
1-1.
Nakua is good.
They're
One and
also
one.
1-1.
Sorry,
Yeah, beat the
sorry.
Seahawks week 1.
You're right. They did.
I just think they're frisky. I think they're good. I think a lot of people slept on them, and I just think Sean McVay has an opportunity now, like where he doesn't have expectations, because before he was a head coach that was expected to win a Super Bowl. Then he went and won a Super Bowl. And then the year after it was defend the Super Bowl. And then he had the year from hell. Now it's like all Sean McVay wants to do is coach football. Now that's exactly what he can do. He has a group of young players, guys that maybe have been counted out, and he's like, okay, I can take this group of guys, coach them really well, and get good production out of everyone. And I have a really great veteran leader in Aaron Donald on defense. I have Matt Stafford. I have Cooper Kupp. I have the pieces to kind of be frisky. And that's honestly, you said like the most surprising 2-0 teams. I think just flat the most surprising team of the season for me is the Rams. I thought they'd be like Larry Holmes status and like trying to get like Caleb Williams, and that's just like not what's happening. They want to win football games, and so does Sean McVay, and they look good.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be atrocious. And I think Stafford's pretty healthy. And he looks good. So, I mean, I think they're going to win more games than what everybody thought, as long as Matt Stafford can stay healthy. Did I think they were going to come in there and beat the Niners? No, the Niners have far more talent, but like some of these closer teams in talent to the Rams, they're going to be able to hang in there a lot more and sneak out a couple extra wins throughout the season. So
For sure.
another stat for you. CJ Stroud is 4th in passing yards for quarterbacks through 2 weeks. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised because normally rookie quarterbacks struggle. And not to say that the Texans haven't, but I mean, I forget exactly how many yards he has, but 4th in passing yards through 2 weeks as a rookie is not a bad start.
Yeah, I think that I respect that. I think that there's a lot that goes into that though. Like if you're getting blown out, teams are coming out in the second half and they're playing soft coverage, damn near playing prevent. A lot opens up when it's like that. You see that on these final drives when you're shaking with the backdoor cover and the defense is practically walking out there and you're like, okay, well, they're going to go down and score because you're playing with urgency and they're not. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing right now. I think that the reps are positive for CJ Stroud, but I would kind of like to see how he looks in a heat of a game when the game's actually close and it matters. Not when he's just kind of running up. He might be the best garbage time quarterback that we've ever seen, and he's taking full advantage of that garbage time, which we can commend him for and say good job. But I personally am gonna kind of hold my verdict on CJ Stroud until he plays in a game that maybe matters a little bit.
Oh, no doubt. I am too. It just pretty much had me thinking about Bryce Young last night and how, I mean, even he didn't, like, he's not putting up those type of numbers. Anthony Richardson's already hurt. So, I mean, to have him come in here and sort of sling it around is, I would say, it's pretty good. But
yeah,
there's a lot of growth, a lot of other things need to happen. Before I make my full opinion on it.
I watched that Panthers game heavily last night. For I already kind of touched on it, multiple reasons, a lot of them match up and the under. The Panthers O-line sucks. Their skill positions are awful. Miles Sanders got paid entirely too much money. I don't really see how that works out for him. I think that they're already missing their starting tackle. Bryce Young, I actually almost felt bad for him that he had to go out there. He's fucked. I mean, he's just going to get beat up all season. Adam Thielen came alive on the last drive, but he's just not the same player. And honestly, if anybody needs to step up, it's Jonathan Mingo. And I think he was a 3rd round pick. It's just not much talent that he's working with on that team. And we knew that going into the season. And they on their defensive side, they lost Shaq Thompson to a broken tibia. JC Horn tore his hamstring off the bone. I mean, they have year from hell team written all over them. So it's kind of how I'm looking at Bryce Young's season. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, that was a tough watch. I mean, they kept it close there for a while, but that offense was honestly so brutal to try and watch. And sort of like you mentioned earlier, one of the easiest touchdowns you can get is 2 minutes left, down 2 scores. The other team's checked out. That's exactly what we saw happen. I mean, Adam Thielen, like you said, kind of had a good stretch there towards the end. I think he's a fine veteran presence there as far as a reliable guy. He's got good hands. He's just obviously not what he used to be, but it's going to be a tough year for the Panthers for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, now that we're talking about it a little bit, week 2, Atlanta Falcons, man, I love them. I don't know what it is about that team. It's just they're my favorite bad team in the league. Cause they're going to sneak out a lot of these wins. I mean, Jordan Love with an all-time drunk moment when he falls over. Was he concussed? Was he I think he had a percussion, but I have no clue. I have no clue what was wrong with him when he just fell over. I was like, is he okay? So honestly, great comeback win by the Atlanta Falcons. That's exactly what you want to see from a team in the NFL is fight back and kind of like what the Giants did but stay in a close game where it kind of felt like they were dead for a while and they came back and did their thing. Another one that I want to talk about is the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks big bounce back game. We were all over it. We called it out right from the start. We saw the line. We were like, this is a bounce back spot for the Seattle Seahawks. Like I said, I had them +6, took their money line. They did their thing. Close game, overtime. Love that game. Tough win. Some bad calls, and the Jared Goff completion with no turnover is officially over, and the floodgates have opened. So we'll see how that goes for them for the rest of the season. But I was happy to see the Seahawks bounce back and get a win.
Yeah, the Seahawks were getting pretty much whatever they wanted. That Lions team, everybody was hype on them, and I get it. They had a good stretch sort of to end that last year. They were in a lot of their games, but that defense has some serious questions. They can't guard a soul.
And they lost CJ.
Yeah, and they lost starting safety. So that's also not a good combination. We did call the bounce back. Seahawks, like I said, kind of did whatever they want. A lot of points in this game, 68. But I thought this was a good game from Geno. I thought they really needed this win, and pulled it off. I mean, I loved what I saw out of the Seahawks. They fought hard in overtime. Tyler Lockett with a hell of a game, 8 for 59, 2 touchdowns.
He's
I
back.
mean, that's what you ask for out of your veteran guys. Step up in a big time spot when you kind of need a win, kind of need a bounce back situation, and he answered the call.
Yeah. Happy for he got married in the offseason, so he's officially unclogged. I'm happy for that guy.
Yeah,
And he came out and balled.
Round of applause.
Yeah, he came out and balled this weekend. Like I said, I have high hopes for the Seahawks. I hope that their tackle situation gets figured out, but we'll see.
Seahawks have who they got this week? Panthers. That's gonna be rough.
Do you want to start previewing week 3?
Yeah, I'm all in on that.
All right, you can if you want to go ahead.
I'll just start off with the Seahawks since we're on them. This is a 4:05 game, but Seahawks Panthers, Seahawks -6. I think this is going to be a game where the Seahawks end up covering. It's in Seattle, tough place to play, gets loud. I don't know anything about the weather out there, if it's going to rain, if it's going to snow, tornado, hurricane. But I like the Seahawks to cover in this one. I just don't think the Panthers are going to be able to score enough points.
Yeah, I actually added this to my card already. I locked the Seahawks in at -5.5. So I have that already. I like it. It's already up to 6, it sounds like. So I think that probably could potentially close at like -7.5 by game time.
I think with some of the injuries that the Panthers have, we could end up seeing another big game out of Tyler Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, that number 1's going to be probably on DK. And
who's their number 1?
It's a great question. I don't even know.
Jeremy Chin. Like
I don't even know.
Honestly, what I really would love to see is DK Metcalf have a game. I mean, that guy is too talented and too big to just kind of be silent in these spots, but that's somebody who I'm looking to really get going. I don't have him in any fantasy league. I'm not like saying that because of that, but I just want to see him get going. I mean, if he's so big, so talented, like he spends more time kind of complaining out on the field than like doing anything. So I want to see him have a dominant game the way that a 6'5", 230 receiver who runs a 4.3 40 should have.
Yeah. Dude's an absolute freak and needs to start playing like it this year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I like the Seahawks a lot in that game. Next we got Broncos Dolphins. Now, question for you: how many more opportunities do the Broncos and Sean Payton give Russell Wilson before they bench him? Before they, what other option? Cut him? I don't think that's
not going to
happen. But it'll be a benching situation for sure.
Yeah, I think this is the week. I think that
you think if he comes out and shits the bed, then he's getting the boot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is the week. I think that if the offense doesn't look good, I think that you see Jared Stidham could easily could play by halftime. If not by halftime next week for sure. Russ isn't good. The Seahawks all-time fleece. It'll probably go down as one of the biggest fleeces ever. I mean, they knew what they
Besides that
had.
Celtics Nets trade.
Yeah, or when the Saints traded away their entire draft for Ricky Williams. But I mean, just modern, like the last 5 years, 10 years, like the Seahawks knew what they had with Russ. They knew he was kind of washed, and they sold on him at an all-time high. And now it's the Broncos' problem, and it looks very, very bad.
Yeah, I agree. So another situation I propose is what about them just going full tank mode and getting somewhere between like pick 7, 8. Now I just talked to my guy Brady, shout out Brady Green, only Broncos fan that I know. Him and I were texting a little bit before this, and he said that he would rather them play Russ, so then they can take Michael Penix or who was the other guy that he said?
Do they have a first round pick?
He said they do. Now, Brady, you're going to make me look like a fool if I'm wrong, but I'm trusting you here. He said that they traded a pick for Sean Payton, but that's the one they got in the Bradley Chubb deal. So I think they have their pick this year. But the two guys that he was interested in were Shadur and Michael Penix Jr.
I mean, well, I mean, for a fan at this point, like, absolutely, like anybody that you would get in there is better than what they have right now. I'm sure that every fan would like to just kind of have a fresh start and act like none of this happened.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
I can't find if they have a pick this year. I'll look into that. But if they don't have a pick this year, like they're screwed. Same thing that we said before. The talent is kind of overhyped heavily. Really, they're just not a good team. I mean, and when you have a guy like Russ rolling out there week in and week out, I mean, it's just like I mean, we said that we didn't want to talk about the game last week, but the reason I don't want to talk about that game is because like I just can't stand Russ. Like whenever I see him on the field, he just looks just fake, and like I don't know what it is about him. I'm a sell on Russ. I mean, if they have a first round pick next season, I mean, yeah, I mean they're fucked. They're taking a quarterback. So
yeah,
it doesn't matter if Russ plays or not. Like Jared Stidham's not going to come in and lead this team to a playoff berth. I mean, they're screwed all around. I mean, I think that Sean Payton came in with like being hopeful. I guess probably just what the look ahead is kind of like what happens with Russ. Like you said, do they cut him? Like, or can they get like a third round pick for him for a team that's like really desperate? Like, I mean, is that like a Jets situation maybe? But like, I don't know how many years he has left on his contract. It's just a bad situation. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. With that being said, Dolphins by double digits. So
yeah, fair.
All right. Next, we got Bills Commanders. Bills -6.5. This is in Washington.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a tough one. I think it's a tough one. I think it might be a little too hype on the Commanders, but the Bills looked rough, but then they also looked phenomenal last week.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the Bills went outright. Obviously, the spread scares me. If I were to lean either way, I would go Bills. Kind of the same situation they were in last week. They're favored by a little bit more than a touchdown. They came out and handled business. If you want to be a playoff team at this point, you go out against inferior talent and you handle business.
Yep. All right. Colts or Ravens. Ravens -7.5. Probably no Anthony Richardson, but I haven't seen anything. I know he's in concussion protocol. I think this line is a little different with him. I think if they're taking Gardner Minshew into account, I can see why it's 7.5. I think you have Anthony Richardson there. It might be at like 6.5. It's 5.5. But I don't know. This Ravens offense looked good. If this line ends up creeping to 7 or 6.5, I think it's certainly worth slamming the Ravens here,
Yeah,
especially if Gardner Minshew plays.
I think Gardner Minshew plays or not. I think I'm on the Colts on this one at plus 7.5. Even no matter who plays at quarterback, I don't think it makes too much of a difference.
I think Anthony Richardson's fun to watch too. It sucks that he got hurt. I hope he's all right.
Brother,
But
all-time fun guy to watch. I love
yeah.
Listen, Anthony Richardson, I thought he should have went first overall. I love that guy. And he's got a cool story. Like I don't think at this point in his career it matters. Him or Minshew is that big of a fall off. The only difference is there's a more dynamic athlete behind center when there's a more superior passer behind center when Gardner Minshew's in. That's it. So I don't think the line changes too much if either or play at this point in his career. So I think I like the Colts though at plus 7.5.
I saw a tweet, I think it was yesterday, about how the Colts apparently reached out to the Packers about a Jonathan Taylor for Christian Watson deal. What do you feel about that? I don't know why they would offer Jonathan Taylor. Because the Packers already have two pretty good running backs.
Yeah. I don't get that. I don't get that trade. I don't know how much validity. I can't say that.
Yeah, like I said, I saw like one tweet about it, but it was an interesting even propose, like even if it's fake, that's still a very super random.
So trade. Random. One trade rumor that I'm gonna officially shut down on Scary Hours is Buda Baker to the Philadelphia Eagles. I know that Buda sat out last week. Buda is injured and he is going to be out at least until the deadline. So Eagles fans can calm down. Buda is not going to be a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah, I never really got my hopes up about that one. I saw a lot of tweets about him potentially being traded after he was put as inactive for last weekend, but I never really thought that it was going to happen. As much as I would love to have him on the Eagles, he's still young enough to the point where you wouldn't want to get rid of him, I don't think.
No, and bro, look at, and we talk about the Cardinals a lot, but the Cardinals are in a situation where having a 26-year-old safety who's an absolute dog, who's probably like a slight tier under Derwin James, like you want a guy like that in your building for leadership moving forward. He's like what you want. So I don't know why they would get rid of him.
Yeah, me neither. Next game, Texans Jags. Jags minus 9.5 in Jacksonville.
I think Jacksonville comes out and tries to make a point. I like them to cover this. They had a big spread against the Colts. It kind of looked like sneaky bad for a second, and then they came through and covered the 9.5 points. Same thing happens here. Their defense played. I didn't think their defense had a game in them like they did last week against the Chiefs, and I think that kind of the same thing happens. I think they handle business.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think after last week only putting up 9 points, they kind of have to prove that they can go out there again and sort of dominate on offense. And I think doing that against a bad Texans team is probably pretty likely. So I'm right there with you with the Jags. Your favorite team, Atlanta Falcons versus Detroit Lions. Lions minus 3.
Yeah. Give me the Falcons. I think that this is a clear spot where the Falcons are going to play spoilers to a lot of these teams who are like borderline good, because what the Falcons are going to do is nothing flashy in any way, shape, or form. They picked the second best player in the draft to add to their offense to do what they do extremely well in Bijan Robinson. So yeah, give me the Atlanta Falcons. I like them to win outright, honestly.
I like the Falcons here too. I think I am going to throw them in a teaser. I mean, what we saw from that Detroit Lions defense last week was just rough. And if Desmond Ritter can even string together a couple plays, I think they have a pretty good chance. I mean, they got guys that can get open all over the field. Bijan's electric. Drake London is electric. I mean, Kyle Pitts is electric, but they hate him. I pretty much just think it comes down to Desmond Ritter, and if he can play a decent game, I think that they have a pretty good chance here.
Yeah, I like that.
Patriots Jets. Can I start on this one?
Yeah.
I picked the Patriots for the elimination, and I do think they win this game, but I think we need to get to the point where people just like stop assuming that the Patriots are going to be like a good team. They haven't been good. They haven't been a great team since Tom Brady left. They've looked bad, quite frankly, on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think Mac Jones is the answer. They don't have any receivers that are actually relevant now that I think about it even more. Like, if you want to be a good team and contend for a Super Bowl, you got to have somebody on the offensive side of the ball that's elite. I mean, the Chiefs have Kelsey, 49ers have Debo, CMC, Eagles have, Jalen Hurts is elite. They got Devontae Smith, and AJ Brown. You got to have a receiver that's elite, and maybe not even elite, but better than what they're putting out there right now. I mean, the best years that they had were with Tom Brady, of course, but like Wes Welker was solid. Randy Moss, obviously, one of the best ever. My personal favorite receiver to ever play the game. Julian Edelman was another guy. I'm not going to sit here and say that Julian Edelman's like an elite receiver, but he's just a dog. And when it's crunch time, he wants the rock. And they don't have that. They haven't had that. They spent the most money on tight ends and receivers, and they're just shit. I mean, Hunter Henry's look good, but they've got nobody. I think they win this game, but I'm sick of the Patriots.
Yeah, I think that's a little overblown, honestly. I completely disagree with you. I think you go away from these 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks that they played and feel great. I don't know, like I know a lot of people are just like, oh, like they're bad, I obviously saw everything like that. Who'd they play week 1?
They played the Eagles and the Dolphins, two
Super Bowl contending teams, two teams that we think are gonna win. Like me personally, you think that the Eagles are gonna go back to the Super Bowl. I have a future on the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl. These are teams that are like cream of the crop in the NFL, and they went out and they showed very, very good chance to take away those games from them and almost play spoiler. And like you said, do I think that they have elite offensive talent? No, that's a big asterisk on how Bill Belichick has built this roster. But at the same time, you can't sit here when Mac Jones is going out and playing good football. I think he made a few bad throws last week. He threw a bad interception when they didn't need it, but he's playing good football. Like he's not the answer is what I'm getting at. Like, I think that there's a ton of people, like we watched Bryce Young and Derek Carr last night and Kenny Pickett and Deshaun Watson. You're going to sit here and tell me that you would take any of those guys over Mac Jones? Because if you do, you're lying. Those guys are not even close to being on the same level as Mac Jones, and Mac Jones is rolling out of receivers and tight ends.
I mean, Mac Jones is a bottom tier quarterback. I would take him over all those guys that you mentioned. But I think he's a bottom tier quarterback, mid to bottom. I mean, so he's probably in the lower third of quarterbacks.
So I just listed 4 quarterbacks who are on teams that we sit here and we consider the Saints a playoff team. We consider the Steelers a potential play. People were picking Steelers to have a big season this year. Me and you might not have, but at this point, people still think the Steelers are a playoff team. And then you have the Browns, who Deshaun Watson has a fully guaranteed contract that the Browns sit there and think to themselves, holy shit, we're fucked. So, and I mean, we can go through every quarterback in the league. I think Mac Jones is like a step below, like the Kirk Cousins level of quarterbacks. And whatever, I know you're going to sit here and be like, well, Kirk Cousins is going to have statistically the best season ever of a quarterback that has ever played. Well, I saw a tweet that said that today because he's balling, and good for him. I'm happy for him. But he also has the best receiver to ever play the game of football in the first 3 years of his entire career. The Patriots have an absolute elite defense. They absolutely hit on the Keon White pick. They absolutely hit on the Christian Gonzalez pick. They have great pieces around. The only thing that has happened, and even last week, they get their guards back. They looked rusty on the offensive line because they got guys who haven't been playing. But at the same time, you can't sit here and be like, well, the Patriots are 0-2 when they went out against two teams that we consider to be top tier in the NFL and gave them a serious fight. And this week, I feel -2.5 on the Patriots. They're going to absolutely roll the Jets. They're going to take the Jets out in the deep waters and absolutely drown them. They don't stand a chance. The Patriots turn it around this week. I think that they're a damn good football team. I think that if you want to sit here and give them any sort of criticism to not acquire elite talent on the offensive side of the football, that's completely fair. But from a quarterback perspective, I think they're in a damn good position, better than a lot of other teams in this league. I'd probably say about 15 teams would rather have Mac Jones than who they have.
I disagree with that, and let me tell you why. I think a lot of these teams with these rookie quarterbacks at least have is this gonna be our guy factor. I think we already know that Mac's not gonna be the guy in New England. And I think a lot of the other teams in the NFL already have who they think their guy is. So he's in a weird middle ground with like, I don't think he's the guy, but what do we do? Like the Colts rookie. Let me just run through these teams.
No. Let's go. I have the list pulled up right now. Washington Commanders, Sam Howell. Do you want Sam Howell or Mac Jones?
I don't know. I've seen two games of Sam Howell.
Bro, if you can't sit
I've
here
seen two games.
Bro, if you can't sit here and say that Mac Jones is better than Sam Howell, you need to stay up all night tonight and watch film.
Mac Jones hasn't proven anything to me as a quarterback.
Mac Jones went to the playoffs as a rookie.
Sam Howell's only played 2 games.
Okay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That falls into the rookie category of like, what do we have here?
Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you want Mac Jones or Baker Mayfield?
Give me Baker.
You're wrong.
Baker's a dog, and he's looked better than he ever has in these 2 games.
Bro, you're smoking crack.
I think Baker has a slight edge.
You're crazy. Seattle Seahawks, Geno Smith. I would take Geno Smith every day. Bro, you put Mac Jones in the San Francisco 49ers offense. I'm taking Mac Jones over Brock Purdy.
Give me Brock Purdy.
Jalen Hurts, obviously, not even a question. New York Giants, Daniel Jones or Mac Jones?
Daniel Jones.
Bro, you're a hater, bro. New Orleans Saints.
They both made the playoffs the same amount of times, and they both lost early.
New Orleans Saints.
Derek Carr. The Giants don't have any weapons either.
Derek Carr or Mac Jones?
Give me Derek Carr.
Bro,
I know what I'm getting with Derek Carr.
I can't even have your.
I know what I'm getting with Derek Carr.
You know what you're getting, bro. You're sitting here telling me that if you drop Mac Jones into New Orleans with Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, that he's not playing better football than Derek Carr, who's looked absolutely atrocious the last 3 years?
Derek Carr's 2-0 in this offense.
Bro, oh my gosh, they can barely score.
2-0.
Bro, you're crazy, bro.
I,
You're crazy.
I don't think Mac Jones is. I think he's a backup quarterback in the NFL.
I'm letting you know right now that the Atlanta Falcons, the Chicago Bears, not the Vikings, the Saints.
I'll take Mac Jones over
Giants,
Desmond Ridder.
The Bucks and the Commanders would open their fucking arms for Mac Jones, and you'll see after, bro, he is a great not a great quarterback, but he is a competent quarterback, and he's going to have the same effect that a lot of these guys have in the league when he's done. He might not re-sign with the Patriots, but Mac Jones is going to go to another team and start for them. And there's no doubt about that.
When and who? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, bro, I don't know how many years he has left on his contract. And then from there, but like, I'm just saying that he is like, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He's better than Zach Wilson. He's better than Kenny Pickett. He's better than Ryan Tannehill. Like he is a mid quarterback in this league. Like he's not a bottom tier. There's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL, and Mac Jones is not one of them. He's playing with no offensive weapons in any way, shape, or form, and he still goes out there and slings the rock.
I don't think he's good.
That's crazy, bro.
I'm not sold on him. I think I know what I'm getting with some of these other guys, and the rest of the crew is just unproven. We don't know what we're getting. Rookies. Like, I mean, obviously I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm taking Zach Wilson because one, he's also not a starter in this league. Bryce Young, I'll take Bryce Young because I don't know what I'm getting. The ceiling is higher. I'll take Mac Jones over Kenny Pickett, and I'll take him over Deshaun Watson. But I mean, he's towards the bottom for me.
I think getting back to the original point that you have to say before that tangent went on is you saying, let's stop pretending that the Patriots aren't a good football team when you have the best coach to ever coach the game of football ever. You are going to be taken serious in the
and
NFL.
They haven't done anything since Tom Brady left.
They made the playoffs last year. They won 8 games last year. They lost. They lost on a Jacoby Myers back across.
That's bad. That's bad decision making.
And
if you're a coach, you got to coach him better.
Okay, and that's completely fine, but they're 2 bonehead plays away from going to the playoffs back to back. I'm not saying that they're sitting here
That's
going.
What bad teams do. They make bonehead mistakes.
They're not going to go 13-4 and be a number 1 seed. But if you can't sit here and be like, okay, the Patriots at this point, no matter what, are at least could be slated into a wild card every single year while Bill Belichick is a head coach. And if you're making the playoffs in the NFL, that is what you want to do.
Yeah, no doubt that's what you want to do.
You want to be in the mix.
They opened another spot for a team to get in, but they made the playoffs one time and then they got smoked. Like,
no shit. They played the best. They played the Bills in the playoffs. The Bills have their number. I'm not sitting here.
What about the rest of the years?
I'm not sitting here saying that the Patriots are a 1A organization, but for you to sit here and just be,
I'm not
just to say like they're flat bad, like the Bears are bad. Like
they're not. I said they aren't good. They're not a good team.
The Patriots are a team that need to be taken serious on a week-to-week basis because they could beat anybody in this league, and they proved it when they almost fucking beat the Eagles, and they almost went out and beat the Dolphins.
That's their thing. They're almost good.
But that is what I'm saying is you need to take the Patriots serious every week. You got to take every team in the league serious.
It's the NFL.
Not the Cardinals.
You got to take everyone serious. We saw the Commanders and the Giants not take either one of those matchups seriously, and they both almost lost.
But that's fine. But you can't sit here and say that the Pats aren't good when they haven't made since post Tom Brady era, which is fine, whatever. They've only missed the playoffs one time.
they're still they're not scary. They don't scare anybody anymore. They're just not good. They don't have talent
How many
on the
teams in the
offensive side of the
NFL?
ball.
How many teams in the NFL put fear into your heart when you walk on the other side of the football? There's like 3.
I could rattle off a bunch.
The Cowboys, the 49ers, and the Eagles. There's 3 teams.
Chiefs?
When you look, bro, the Chiefs, bro.
You can't sit here and say that you're not scared to have to go against Patrick Mahomes.
Let's be real.
I'm being so real.
The Chiefs are not the Chiefs the way they used to be. It's the it's the Cowboys, it's the 49ers, it's the Eagle, and then one step below them, and is the Chiefs and the Bills. Bro, the
Ravens
Bills
are in there.
Bro, come on.
We just sat here and said how good the Ravens look.
Okay, that's fine, but the Ravens are in. If you want to criticize a quarterback or any team or anything like that, the Ravens and the Patriots are essentially in the same position.
Yeah,
and you can you sit here and you praise the Ravens.
But one's 2-0,
bro. But the Ravens just played the fucking Texans and the goddamn. I don't even know who they played last week.
Bengals.
The Bengals, who are completely banged up, who we both just said we're in full panic mode on. And the Patriots just go out and play 2 of the best teams in the NFL that have looked fucking sharp as hell through the first 2 weeks. And the Dolphins have looked the best in the first 2 weeks. I'm just saying that. I think just flat saying, honestly, to get back to everything, to not respect the Patriots is overblown in my personal opinion. I don't think that they're I don't think that they're the Tom Brady era Patriots where holy shit, like we need to take them absolutely serious. They could be a number 1 seed. I think they have an opportunity to go to the wild card and maybe squeak out a first, but probably lose in the first round.
So I never said I don't respect them because, like I said, you have to take every team in the NFL serious. And you can lose it any week. But I think we just need to relax on them being good. Is all I'm saying. I don't think they're good. I don't think that they've been a good team.
Yeah. That's fair. I think
we'll continue to see that. I mean, I think they beat the Jets this week, but the Jets suck on offense. Like Zach Wilson's not good. He shouldn't be starting, obviously, the Rodgers situation, but like I don't understand how you can sit here as a Jets organization pivoting to them and be like, yeah, we're just going to run this year out with Zach Wilson. You went all in and got Dalvin Cook. You have a phenomenal receiver. You got a healthy Breece Hall that you don't give the ball to. And you have an elite defense. That defense played 44 minutes last week. Like, I understand how you're going to give up points when you're on the field for fucking 3/4 of the game. But like, you can't just keep running Zach Wilson out there as the Jets. Like, they have to make a move.
What, you don't like when Zach Wilson hikes the ball and goes on a dead sprint to the right side of the sideline and throws it? Because I love that. I love that move. Fire Robert Saleh. He sucks as a head coach. He's corny as fuck. He's stupid as hell. Fire him. You should have fired him last year when you had the chance, when you roll out Joe Flacco and all these people. Then you go out and you get Aaron Rodgers and you mortgage your entire future to do so, which was stupid as fuck when you're actually building something real in New York. And Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are fighting for their fucking jobs. They're stupid. They're a poverty franchise. You want to talk about a poverty franchise? It's the New York Jets. You go out and you get a 40-year-old quarterback who gets hit on 4 on 4 plays, and then on the 4th play he tears his fucking Achilles because he's 40 years old. Like, I texted you before the season started. I didn't think the Jets would make the playoffs even with Aaron Rodgers. I said I'd be shocked if Aaron Rodgers can walk by week 5. He couldn't walk. Right. He couldn't walk after 5 fucking plays.
Yeah. I will say I think Saleh might be part of the reason that the defense is so good. So maybe just like demote him to that side of the ball, but he's just not it as a head coach. And I don't know if he's just being told to send Zach Wilson out there because they don't want to make any moves, but that's just poor decision making on everyone's part.
Clear house. It's over. They're
Yeah.
screwed. They're not good. And it sucks. And there's nothing wrong with that. You thought you were going to win a Super Bowl. I thought that was extremely overblown. I thought that was crazy. And now let the reality set in. You guys are not who you thought you were. The defense played lights out in week 1. It's not going to look that way every single week. I actually promise you. And we saw it last week, like you said. And when you have no offense to relieve any sort of pressure off of your defense, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't rely on Garrett Wilson to break a 70-yard touchdown every week. And you can't rely on bro, after they lose the game to the Cowboys and Breece Hall is bitching.
Tweeting out football.
Sauce is tweeting his individual stats because people were saying he got cooked and he's like, "Oh, I didn't get cooked." Bro, you're done. It's over. You guys just mail the season in. It's done.
Yep, I agree with you.
All right, let's, bro. We're on a heavy runtime. Let's run.
I know. Titans Browns. This is a game that I absolutely have zero desire to talk about or watch.
Give me the Titans.
It's gonna be a shit show.
Give me the Titans.
Saints Packers. Packers -2.
Honestly, until the Packers get healthy with their weapons, I'm not really too interested.
Aaron Jones is back. I think Aaron Jones is playing.
What about Christian Watson?
I don't think Watson's playing. I haven't seen anything on it.
Give me the Saints.
Yeah, circling back, I also like the Titans and Saints. I'm just not. I just don't feel good about the Packers without. Actually, I like the Packers with Aaron Jones.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, who wouldn't?
But I think I'm gonna just take the under here.
I just like, honestly, the Saints. I saw this stat today. They haven't allowed 20 points in the last 15 games or something like that. I think it might be 20. Dennis Allen's got that defense on fucking lock. They can figure out the offense slightly. They're going to be a scary football team. I think this defense kind of eats alive the Packers and does their thing. That's why I like the Saints in this game.
Yeah, I'm just going to stick with the under. Next game is Chargers Vikings. I think this is like the loser leaves town. To be honest, I think the Chargers,
it's the best game of the week.
The Chargers need this game more than the Vikings.
Yeah, this is the best game of the week.
I think this might end up being a shootout.
Yeah, give me the over.
It's 54.5.
Give me the over.
A lot of points.
I love it. I honestly
I actually like the Chargers here. They're +1.
Man, I have no fucking clue who I like here more. I hate both of these teams with all my heart. Yeah, give me the Chargers. I mean, if they can't win it this week, I mean, fuck, man. You need to what's his Brandon Staley's not flying back on the team playing if they don't win this game.
No, they're leaving Minnesota. They're leaving him at the Mall of America.
This is the definition of a fucking kitchen sink game. They're gonna throw the kitchen sink at the Minnesota Vikings, and if they don't win, like I said, he's not flying back with the team. So, give me the Chargers.
Yep. Not too much to say about this next one. Cowboys Cardinals. Cowboys -12. This could get ugly.
I like the Cardinals to win the first half and the Dallas Cowboys to win the game. I don't know the odds on it yet. It's not on the book. Cardinals are the best team in the first half in the NFL. Give me the Cardinals first half winner, Cowboys to win the game. Josh Dobbs season.
It is Josh Dobbs season. He's looked really good in the first half of these games. Yeah, I think the Cowboys win this one by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, by 50.
It's 12 right now. I mean,
it's gonna close.
That's a lot of points for an NFL. Yeah. That's a lot of points for an NFL game. But the Cowboys defense is like actually good, and their offense is like actually good. So it's gonna be ugly. Another ugly game is the Chiefs -12.5 against the Bears. I mean, Justin Fields has gotten worse.
Give me the Bears.
That's a lot of points. I think Justin Hurts. I think Justin Fields has looked really bad. But I wonder what like the Chiefs team total is on this, because they actually might put up like 35.
Yeah, give me
Let me
the
see here.
Bears and
I want to
Iguodala.
see Iguodala.
No, I honestly, like, all jokes aside, I think the Bears are like,
Oh my gosh, Saints or Chiefs totals 30.5. This could be their get right game, actually.
yeah, I
That
think
Bears
that
defense is rough.
it's rough, and I think that I think the Bears are damn near due for a bounce back. Like, I know that Justin Fields has been really bad, but I don't think that their offense is going to look that bad all season. I think that they get it right this week. And 12 is just so many points. I'm
It
just
is.
and I still think that the Chiefs handle business. They might win by 10, but like, I like the Bears at 12.5.
All right, Sunday night, Steelers at Ravens or Raiders -2.5. Steelers Raiders. That Steelers offense is so painful to watch.
Man,
I
I
mean,
don't know,
Matt Canada is just a terrible offensive coordinator.
bro. I
I don't
don't
know
know
how he
about
still
this
has a job.
team. I don't know how he
I
has. We saw. I mean, we saw last night. They're terrible.
horrible. Their defense is legit and stepped up to the plate, but that offense is just so
Yeah,
brutal.
I
It feels like
think
I'm watching two blind people play Madden, unfortunately.
I think that I think I like the Raiders in this spot, honestly. I think that what happened last night was the defense stepped up when they needed them to, and they're at home.
Yeah.
It's a big game. They're fired up. That crowd was rocking. I think that a lot played into that. I think you throw them out on the West Coast, hop on that 6-hour flight out to Vegas. I think it dies down a little bit. I like Jacoby Myers is back. I think Tay's playing still. I think Josh Jacobs has a bounce back game. I like the Raiders.
Yeah, I think I also like the Raiders -2.5 and the under. Neither one, like the Steelers defense was pretty good. Um, and Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't really take that many chances, so I can't really see them slinging around, putting up points all over the place. Um, yeah, I'll take the Raiders and the under.
Real quick, if this is available on any sports book, Max Crosby to get a sack and the Raiders to win, I'll book that. But go ahead.
All right, we got the two Monday night games again. It wasn't as bad as I thought on Monday, but it still wasn't my favorite having two games on Monday night.
It was
This
whatever.
Monday, though, I also think Monday night games are cursed. The last like four Monday night games, I mean, we just saw Nick Chubb with that season-ending injury.
That was
Hate
rough.
to see that. Week before, Rodgers tore his Achilles. Going back to last season, that Monday night game between the Bills and the Bengals was when Damar Hamlin had that cardiac arrest moment. And then before that, Kyler Murray tore his Achilles. So
ACL.
ACL, sorry, a tough 4 Monday night games in a row. Makes me nervous that the Eagles are playing on Monday night.
Yeah. It'll be all right.
With that being said, Eagles -5 on the road against the Buccaneers. Eagles have covered both games. I think this is going to be a tough game, I think, for the Eagles. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the Bucks have their return to earth moment. I think the Eagles take them into deep waters and drown them. You haven't seen them do it yet. Let the Eagles do what they do best. I think that their defense steps up finally. I think they make Baker Mayfield look bad. Like we all know how bad he is. They make him look bad. And I think that although that the Tampa Bay defense is talented, I think the Eagles prove that run game is no joke. And they have Devontae Smith is no joke, and AJ Brown is no joke. I think they go in, take care of business, clean them up, and the Bucks have a come to Jesus moment.
The Eagles' run game looked phenomenal Thursday. I saw a tweet today about how they're still going to keep it as like a running back by committee. I think Swift is the best guy in that room. I think he displayed it on Thursday. 178 yards, 175 yards, something like that. I think I'm not opposed to like him splitting some of the touches just to keep him fresh, but I don't think there's a doubt that he should be getting majority of the touches in that backfield.
What's great about the Eagles is they have a ton of resources, and there's no reason to ride one guy when you don't have to. So I understand where they're coming from. I don't think Swift is going to get majority of the touches. I think they're heavy running back by committee. I mean, you saw if Boston Scott didn't get a concussion, honestly, I think Boston Scott might have had 150 yards last week and not DeAndre Swift. So, I think that they stay with that motto, and I love it because when you keep your guys fresh, then DeAndre Swift can have a big game in the NFC Championship game because he's healthy and he's not banged up, and you know how talented he is, but you haven't got to see him have a complete season because he has a hard time staying healthy. I think that the Eagles having an abundance of resources on both sides of the ball, and they're going to continue to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun seeing that offensive line just move dudes out of the way last week.
Dominate.
It was awesome, and I think that once they were able to do that, that offense started to look a little bit better. Like I said, I think this game ends up being kind of close, but you think it's going to be a manhandling by the Eagles, and hopefully you're right.
Like I said, the great teams in this league, when they go out against inferior teams, they need to take care of business. I think the Eagles the Eagles are dogs. They're hearing what people are saying about them, and they're like, let's make a point. Like, I think this is their let's make a point game.
All right. Second game, Rams Bengals. Rams were your elimination pick. Bengals -1.5 right now.
Yeah, I like the Rams to win outright. I don't think Joe Burrow plays. I placed this already. I mean, no brainer. Calf's fucked up. Even if he does play, like, whatever. I don't care. Give me the Rams. I think that they're tough. I don't really think that, as crazy as this sounds, like, I don't think that the Bengals are going to have an answer for the tremendous trio of Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and Tutu Atwell. Those guys are dogs. I mean, I think that they go out and I think the Rams are just going to continue to play how they play. I mean, they have nothing to lose. They're just going to go out and play football, and they're a well-coached football team. I think they handle business.
Yeah, I think this kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about that Niners-Rams game. Like, the Niners have significantly more talent all over the field than the Rams, and the Rams were hanging around. I don't think the Bengals have that same kind of gap. I mean, Joe Burrow being hurt definitely plays a role into that. But outside of, Burrow, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase, like, that defense doesn't really scare you. And if you can scheme up a good plan against a potentially injured Joe Burrow if he plays, I think the Rams stand a damn good chance in this game.
Yeah, what if Aaron Donald gets a hold of him like 2-3 times? Like,
it could be game over early if Burrow even plays. Otherwise, they've got I don't even know who their backup quarterback is, but I mean, that lessens the talent gap between these two teams even more. So I'm right there with you. I really like the Rams in this one too.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all we got for Sunday.
Yeah, I love it. Their backup quarterback is Jake Browning.
The Washington alum.
Played at Washington. I mean, that isn't one of the top 5 backup quarterbacks in the league. So if they had maybe one of the, like a Tyler Huntley or Taylor Heineke, like, maybe we would have like maybe a little bit different story. You know, that those guys can kind of come in and be serviceable and maybe even win you a game if they play well. But Jake Browning doesn't do that for me, at least. And I don't know about you, but
no, he's not somebody that's going to scare you as a backup. I mean, you're spot on with Heineke and Huntley. They can come in and give you problems, but Jake Browning is not that guy.
No.
So we'll see. I haven't seen anything yet about Burrow, but I'm sure they'll make an announcement here sometime early this week. So,
yeah, I mean, Listen, me and you haven't talked, and we could probably go on for a while. We're probably gonna have to shoot another episode because I wanted to talk about the Drake single that came out, but we're already at an hour 35, and if we do that, we're gonna hit 2 hours. So I think we should probably just call this one, and I'm gonna edit this together and rip it up, probably hopefully by tonight. So, but hey, great conversation. We both got fired up. That's exactly what I want to see out of you. So let me know if you want to hop on another episode sometime soon, and we could do like a quick 15 to 30 minute breakdown of the Drake dilemma, and we can run it like that. But I thought today was great.
I mean, I'm just, again, can't say it enough. Glad it's football season. Appreciate these weeks. They go by a little too fast sometimes, but we're only on week 3.
And the intro dilemma. Noah doesn't love the intro. We're working towards it. I mean, it's just like a learning curve. I mean, anything that was sent to us today is 100 times better than what we've had so far. So it's just finding like, and nothing's like set in stone or anything. I kind of like the idea of like interchanging out the intros. And I sent you the intro today. I thought it looked honestly like pretty dope. And I watched it on my computer and my TV. I was like, oh, this shit's kind of fire. So just doing stuff like that. Like, even like this overlay that we have today, like it's just something different. Like it might not even be the one that we use every single time, but I mean, just trying to enhance everything like episode by episode, week by week, as it gets taken more serious is like what it's all about.
Just 1% better.
Yeah, literally
every time.
And that's literally what, I think it was like Mr. Beast said that like your first 100 videos are going to fucking suck. But out of when you're posting those first 100 videos, you should be doing something to enhance those videos every single time. Whether he'd be like, okay, like spend a little bit more time on the dialogue for the episode or the script or the intro or the outro or the thumbnail, just like each time, like try to do something that looks or feels better than the time before. And that's kind of the approach that I'm taking when I'm working on this stuff. And even now I feel like way better about the look of it as I did by episode 1. So it feels good to get some things in motion.
Yeah. Shouts to you. I am not nearly as skilled setting this stuff up and making it look as good as it does. So round of applause.
Bro, I don't either, bro. I'm just watching YouTube videos and trying to figure it out. Like the people who design and shit for a living, like I don't know how you like pull up like InDesign or Photoshop and like have a blank slate and just be like,
oh, I'm doing this. I'm just gonna make it look like I'm playing quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, like where the fuck do you start? Like that's kind of been my main like not issue.
Terrible decision on my part to be a quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, I don't know why anybody would want that. But it's just hard when you're like looking at a blank slate and just finding that starting point, because there's a billion things that you can do. So it's like, okay, like what's the one thing that I'm going to try to do this week? It's like, let's try that. So I'm about to get off here and start uploading this and render it and make a thumbnail. And hopefully the thumbnail doesn't look like absolute shit. So actually, let's just sit here for 1 second so I can get a thumbnail. So I'm just going to do this. Do what you want to do. All right, we're good. And that's good. That's the end of episode 3. And great talking to you, brother.
Great conversation as always. Great talking to you as always. Episode will be out tomorrow.
Yeah, episode out tomorrow. Go birds. See you, brother.
Later.